Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this afternoon's live Q&A coaching call. You are joined with myself and my good friend Dwayne Ortega with besttransactionfunding.com. Dwayne, how you doing this afternoon?
Hi, good. Thank you for having me, Jason. I'm doing very well.
Great, great. Hey, thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to do this for our folks. I know there's a lot in store. We've been talking here for the past 2-3 weeks about getting this call put together, and I'm extremely excited to go over this information. So again, thanks for taking time to do this for us. I truly appreciate your time on that. And Dwayne, before we get started, before I just turn everything over to you, I just want everybody to just make sure that they could hear us and that they could see your screen. So if you guys could just type in, yes, I could see your screen, yes, I could hear you loud and clear, that would be great. Okay. All right. We're getting some, okay, so everybody can see the screen. Everybody is good to go. I think we're ready to go here. So Dwayne, without further ado, let me go ahead and get my little control here done. I want to make sure that we're recording properly, and we are. So guys, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and let Dwayne get started here. And one of the main reasons I really wanted to get Dwayne on for this afternoon is he just got done completing an actual closing for one of our student investors. His name's James Hall, and I actually just recorded James's case study, and I'm going to be sending out an email with the video that you guys could see of that case study and how long it took James from start to finish to get that deal done. But he pretty much had nothing but great things to say about Dwayne and besttransactionfunding.com. He was able to get a deal closed very, very fast, and it was something that he speaks very highly of. You'll be able to see and hear everything about from the deal perspective with James. We went over some really great stuff. We went into great detail on how James found the deal through HUD, how he was able to secure a buyer very quickly, and all that good stuff. But needless to say, I wanted to get Dwayne on here because yes, we've talked about besttransactionfunding.com in the past, but I really wanted to get Dwayne on this afternoon because I really want everybody to understand what he's able to do for you guys and how you guys are going to be able to benefit immensely by using his service. He's probably one of the lowest transactional funders out there, and he's going to get into detail on that here in just a second. But I got him on here because he gets my personal recommendation. He also gets Clint's personal recommendation as well. This is a highly recommended organization that we highly recommend you use. And without further ado, Dwayne's going to go into some information that he's prepared, and he's going to go over some information about Best Transaction Funding here in just a second. So without further ado, James, or not James, I'm sorry, but Dwayne, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you. You have full controls, and if you need anything from me, I'll be here. And I just look forward to the presentation.
Great. Thank you again for having me, Jason. It's an honor to present to your audience, to your students. I always welcome anybody who would like to learn about transactional funding. I'm here and available, and our staff is available to explain any questions you may have, whether it's now or next year. So let's start the presentation. Transactional funding, our website is called besttransactionfunding.com. So let's get into transactional funding. Okay, so what is transactional funding? It's funding for one day on back-to-back closings. Now, why do we execute these back-to-back closings? They're executed because a wholesaler such as yourselves need to earn their fee for their time and effort. And this is how you make your money and make a living. So let's go through an example. In the recent history, we've had that market housing crash. And so let's say, for example, John in 2006 bought a house for $500,000, which is an ARM. And then over time, those interest rates adjusted, and they adjusted up. And by 2008, he was probably, I don't know, probably 10 to 18%. So during that same time, the housing market crashed. And let's say in this example, his $500,000 house is now $400,000 in 2011. Then what happens to him? The job markets were not doing well at all. So let's say John loses his job, and now he's trying to sell his house, but he can't sell. Why? Because he's got a $500,000 mortgage in his house, and his house is only worth $400,000. So he's what we call upside down his mortgage. So he can't sell. He's in trouble. So what's he to do? He's behind on payments. He's facing foreclosure, and he needs help. So if he can't get that help, what happens? Basically, the banks and or HUD can take back John's house, and that's what typically happens. And then so you, as the B investor or as the investor or the wholesaler, your duty is to fund these distressed properties, and one of the avenues is through HUD. And so let's say you negotiate with HUD, you're Mr. B, and then after you negotiate with HUD, you are approved for, let's say, buying it for $300,000. Okay, and then once you're approved, hopefully you have the end buyers, the C end buyers already lined up, or you have a list of them, and you find a retail cash buyer, Mr. C, to buy the property for $375,000. So what's the next step? The next step is to arrange both sides to close on the same day. So let's say Mr. B arranges the closing from A to B, which is from HUD to him, and then the closing for the B to C, which is from him to the C buyer. So let's go to closing day here. So let's say at 10 a.m. on closing day, there's an AB closing for $300,000. Now, question: where does the B investor get the $300,000 from? That's from transactional funding. That was the drum roll. So that's where we come in. We fund the $300,000 for the AB closing. Okay, so then at 10 o'clock, it closes AB. At 11 o'clock, the BC closes for $375,000. This is where we get paid off, and also the B investor gets paid off. The B investor roughly gets to keep around $75,000 less closing costs and less the transactional funding fee. And then in the end, everybody wins, right? The HUD wins is they get their liability off their books. Then B investor wins because they get to keep most of the money, and C buyer wins because they get to keep an investment or a home that has instant equity. So that's it in a nutshell as to where transactional funding comes into play. Now let's get into the funding process. So within 2 weeks of the closing, roughly, B contacts a transactional funder. Although I must say, James Hall contacted us 3 days before closing. And then we did, we worked our butts off and we got it done for him. So, but typically within 1 or 2 weeks, the B investor contacts a transactional funder. And then B submits the required paperwork. Funder wires the money to the dispersing agent on the day of closing. And the B investor signs transactional funding paperwork. A, B, and BC close. The closing agent disperses all escrowed funds for both sides. Closing agent has to be the same agent for both transactions. Okay, so what are the qualifications for transactional funding? Well, there are none. All these bullet points basically saying that there are no qualifications. It's asset-based. It's based on your transaction. So as long as you have an A, a B, and a C party, and that you're making money, then we can do the transaction. Okay, so what's the catch? In the industry, the one-day rate typically ranges from 2 to 5%. Funding application to identify A, B, C parties, and the property and the closing agent is required. The processing fee is typically $395 to $595. Purchase and sale agreement between the A to B. Short sale approval letter from A's lender if applicable, if this is a short sale. And sale agreement between B to C. Proof of funds from C cash buyer. Title company information, licensure, commitment. C's funds must be wired into closing agent versus bank or certified checks. And closing agent must provide proof of cleared and wired funds. Those are the bare bones of the transactional funding industry. So what's the conclusion on transactional funding as in general? Funding is based on the transaction, not the investor or the property. Allows for back-to-back closings to occur without issues due to separate funds. And it's very simple and it's hassle-free. So let's get into what we offer. BestTransactionFunding.com are the advantages for our company. We provide 1.75% transactional funding, and it's easy, simple, and fast, as James could probably testify to, since he contacted us on a Thursday or a Friday, I believe, and then we close on a Monday or a Tuesday. So we try to do our best as fast as possible, but we generally say from application to funding, it takes about 3 to 4 business days. Again, that would depend on all the players. If nobody gets back to us, it could delay the closing. We offer 1.75% up to $200,000. Same day transactional funding. There's a $3.95 processing fee, and proof of funds and VOD letters provided. Now, the proof of funds are free. The VOD, the verification of deposit, which is an available balance statement from the bank itself, there's a fee for that for $4.95. HUDs, REOs, short sales, and any loan sales can generally be funded. Now, the reason why I really look forward to presenting this to Jason's students, and also look forward to speaking with Jason, is we really like the HUD deals, the HUD transactions, because they have no restrictions. We generally are, in the past, our audience or our clients were short sellers. And they had recently, since 2011, summer of 2011 forward, there have been bank restrictions where they cannot sell the property for up to 60 to 90 days. HUD, on the other hand, HUD transactions, they have no restrictions. So they can go through smoothly, and we don't have to worry about complying with any laws or anything like that. So that's why we really like dealing with HUD transactions, especially from Jason's students. Also, just a few things to mention about HUD transactions. Some, we've dealt with a few HUD transactions outside or in addition to James Hall, and some of them want verification of deposits, some don't. Some just want the free proof of funds. Either way, we've closed on both types, so there's no issues there from our funding perspective. Another point is our funding is a private loan and should not be represented as cash to HUD. Because once it's represented as cash, HUD would want you to, or would want us to write that there will be no lien or anything like that to be placed in the property. We need to do that in order to protect ourselves, and that goes away after closing. So present it as a private loan and not cash to HUD. And I was speaking with Jason about this, and this should not matter to HUD at all. And that we've done both types of deals where our funds were presented as cash and as a loan. And the loan went smoother, and there's less problems with it. So that's why I thought I should just mention.
Yeah, that's great.
Jason also mentioned, right. Jason also mentioned that they just want your deposit basically, and the liability off their books. They don't care whether you're buying cash or a loan, as long as you can perform. Lastly, I'd like to mention that we fund entities such as LLCs or corporations, and not people. The reason for that is because we don't want to violate any usury laws. So please keep that in mind. Jason mentioned that his students can typically get an LLC just for a few, maybe under $100 or so, and it's quick. So again, it doesn't matter to HUD whether you're an entity or a person. We've done both types. We've seen more harder transactions with just you as a person as far as our underwriting is concerned. Jason, did you want to mention anything else other than this before I move on?
I would just piggyback on the part where when you guys are going through HUD's scenario with when you're entering in all of the data for what you're wanting to purchase, like what your the gross is to HUD, what the net is to HUD. When you're checking off the box, like Dwayne said, if it's going to be a cash or a finance transaction, you're going to have to mark off that this is a finance transaction. And there's really, it's not going to make the process any different through HUD. As long as you could close, they don't care if it's cash or a finance deal. As long as they get it off their books, they're good with it. And it really doesn't make that big of a deal. The other thing, too, that I wanted to piggyback off on that Dwayne was referencing here, let's see, with when it's the HUD deals here, just when you're lining up your end buyer, obviously just make sure that is good to go, and they're ready to close, they're ready to pull the trigger, and everything is 100% ready to go. So I think that's about it. It's just make sure you guys give enough time, 3 to 5 business days, like Dwayne was saying, and you guys are good to go. But yeah, that sums it up for that slide there, though, Dwayne.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to add one more thing. The
Sure.
end buyer is typically cash.
Correct.
Because when you go in an institution or a bank, they have restrictions as well. So we haven't had a closing in more than 2 years where the end buyer had a mortgage loan from a bank. We've had transactions where it came from their IRAs. That's fine, but most transactions are with cash end buyers.
Right, exactly. And that's what we teach within the course, is going after cash buyers or people that could use some sort of a retirement account to make the transaction whole. The other thing that I wanted to mention is getting an LLC or some sort of a corporation set up. Now, I'm not an accountant or a CPA, but the one thing I would tell you is if you just want to sign up for like an LLC through your state, all the states, all 50 states, they allow you to get onto their state website, register an LLC or an S or C Corp. And I'm not going to go into the difference of each one on this call because, again, I'm not a CPA or accountant. If you want to find out which one's going to be best for you from a tax perspective, you need to obviously consult with a professional on that. But it literally will take you 10 to 20 minutes to get that all taken care of, and you would have an LLC set up right then and there. And then obviously you would just need to get, and it doesn't matter. Like if you're doing, say for instance, you're in Illinois, you've got your Illinois LLC set up in Illinois, and you want to do deals in, let's just say, Wisconsin. The LLC doesn't need to be like in Wisconsin. If you want to just have it in Illinois, you could do all 50 states. It doesn't matter. But again, I would just make sure that you verify that through an accountant. But I know from from doing this personally that it doesn't matter where the LLC is actually based. So again, it doesn't take that long to do that, to get that LLC set up, and you could just go on your actual state website and get that completed.
Thanks, Jason. Moving on here, we have 100% financing. Again, when it comes down to closing, literally you don't bring any money to the table because we can cover that. Unless you want to, then let us know. Then we won't cover 100% of it. We also have a 10% referral program. So let's say a friend who wants to do a transaction and he goes through us. If we earn $2,000, we pay you $200, and that keeps on going forever as long as that person keeps on transacting with us successfully. We provide nationwide funding. James is in Idaho. We've closed deals all over the country. We've closed deals in Oklahoma, Florida, Louisiana, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, etc. Amounts greater than $200,000 are evaluated on a case-by-case basis. However, we try to stick to our 1.75%, depending on our partners and their availability of cash. So we try to stick to 1.75% as much as possible above $200,000. Amounts less than $115,000, there's a flat fee of $2,000, and there's a processing fee of $395. Okay, so free stuff. Our website, we offer free blogs and reports. So we send them out weekly, and they're very helpful tips to wholesalers. And current webinars such as this one, and specials and promotional items. This is our contact information. And I guess before we proceed, let's go through some case studies.
Hey, Dwayne?
Yes.
Real quick, I just want to mention to everybody, I've been on Best Transaction Funding's email list now for probably 2.5 years, and the content that they share on their emails are fantastic. Very useful information, very up-to-date information, and I highly recommend that you guys get on their email subscriber database because there's a lot of great information shared that they send out pretty much on a daily basis. Correct, Dwayne?
On a weekly basis.
Weekly, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. If you guys want to be on our mailing list, just email us and let us know, or get a free proof of funds. We also send out emails to our clients who get the free proof of funds. Many ways to contact us.
Great.
Thank you again, Jason, for that the blog, mentioning the blogs and how useful they are. Yeah, sure. we don't advertise anything. We just want to help you make money. So hopefully you'll take us along with you for the ride.
Definitely.
So, all right. So let's start with James Hall as a case study. I mean, we'll go through it very quickly, very high level. He bought a house in Idaho. He flipped the house in Idaho. He bought it for $78,000, sold it for $88,000, and our fee for $115 and below is $2,000, and he paid the $395 processing fee, and he closed, I believe, last month. And again, he called us on Thursday night or Friday night, and he was closing Monday or Tuesday the following day, and we got it done for him. But again, that's not the norm. We would encourage you to give us 3 to 4 days not because our funding is not available, but because some people don't get back to us on time. And if you schedule a closing that can't move, if people don't get back to us, then we might be in trouble. Okay, so another deal that we did recently was a commercial transaction. It's out of Florida in Miami. It was for the AB was $258,000. The BC was $365,000, and that we just closed yesterday, actually. And so both sides were happy. We got it done within 3 to 5 business days. Another last case study is a house in Houston, or an investor in Houston, and he wholesaled a single-family house, and he bought it for $170,000 and sold it for $192,000, all in the same day, cash and buyer. Everything went well. Jason, did you want to talk about any other case studies before we go to questions and answers?
No, I know that you and I are going to be talking possibly about some other ways that we can use transactional funding, and that's probably going to be something else that we'll include maybe within the next 3 to 4 weeks after we get some stuff taken care of. But for our Asset Manager Millions members, I would get extremely excited because I know Dwayne and I and Clint, we're going to set up a call hopefully here soon when Dwayne has some availability. But we're going to probably be able to do something here soon as we get all the legalities figured out. So that's some very exciting stuff coming up. And yeah, that's going to be great. The main thing here is with why I got Dwayne on here, and I'll stress this is a way for you to generate a deal to close. So I would highly recommend that Clint and I and several other people that I've gotten on, those are resources that we're giving you guys to. So you guys are getting tools that took us a long period of time to formulate. And Dwayne is somebody that is very successful, has raised quite a few here to where he could obviously start doing transactional funding for you guys at such a low rate. This is the 1.75 is lower by probably half a percentage point than when I first got started in doing short sales in 08. It was at like 2.25, and that's after I negotiated it down from 3. So 1.75 is great, especially if it's not somebody you have a personal relationship with. The other thing too is, please don't just submit anything. You have to have the whole entire deal completely lined up. And if you need help submitting a deal to Dwayne, that's something we're more than happy to offer. If you need help submitting it and you need help making sure that you have a complete package, it's ready to go, please consult with us on that. Because if you just submit something just to submit it, it's going to be a waste of everybody's time involved, including Best Transaction Funding and also yours. So let's not do that. Let's work this together. Let's make some money together. And like I said, Clint and I have no problem making sure that the deal that you're submitting is actually a deal. We want to make sure that 2014 is a successful year for you. So without further ado, we're going to turn it over and see if we have some questions from folks. If you have some questions, you could go ahead and just type them in. I'm going to go ahead and answer them. Dwayne and I are going to go ahead and answer them. Let's see here. Alan, we already went over the parameters. I'm recording this, so if you did not get that, we'll go over the parameters, but it's pretty simple. Everything's pretty much based off of your off of the asset. So as long as you have an end buyer in place, you're making money, that should be fine. Let's see here. Scott is asking...
Jason, if I may interrupt.
Oh, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. I just
you're
wanted to
fine.
add on to your discussion there with the rates. Regardless of rates, whether it's low or high or whatever have you, just make sure that your transactional funder communicates consistently and very well and is on top of things. And that's one of the things that we're proud of that's one of our pride and joy with our company, is that we always get back to you. I mean, we keep on top of the transaction and we always keep you in the loop, and we're always circling back, whether it's by voicemail, by email, on the phone, with the title company, with the attorney, with you, with the whoever else we need to. But that's something that we pride ourselves in. So just make sure wherever you go, make sure that is a priority for you, or at least they take care of you that way.
Yeah, definitely. The one thing I could attest to is when I reached out to Dwayne, his staff pretty much reach out to me like literally within the next few minutes. So from a communication standpoint, they get an A+ on that for sure. Everything that I've seen from them and everything that we've heard from student investors that have gone through with Dwayne and his team have been nothing short of outstanding. So there's definitely this is definitely a great partnership that you could form with Dwayne and his team. Dwayne, we've got a question that came in here from Scott. He said, do you provide proof of funds to be included within the 48-hour reply time to HUD when accepting an offer?
Yeah, the proof of funds is actually an automated system, and it's free. So you go to our website, click on proof of funds. There's two ways you can go: the free proof of funds or the verification deposit. The proof of funds is immediate. It's an automated system, so you can receive that within a minute. Does that answer his question? If it doesn't, if you're inquiring about the verification deposit, we require 48 to 72 hours on that, and that's subject to availability.
Okay, yeah, I was just going to piggyback on that and see if you could answer that as well, which you just did. So that makes sense. When I've dealt with getting a proof of funds letter through besttransactionfunding.com, super simple. It actually gets generated immediately. Like Dwayne was saying, it's an automated platform, and it gets sent right to your email like within seconds after you hit submit. So that proof of funds letter gets to you, very, very quickly. So that's good stuff. So a question came in from JW for you, Dwayne, and he or she, I'm not sure. So I apologize, JW. What's your max loan, and do you loan on multifamily?
We loan on multifamily, yes. Our max loan, again, anything above $200,000 is on a case-by-case basis. we can probably do up to 10 million, but that is, again, case by case.
Okay. Okay. That definitely answers that question. Anthony M is asking um, what money amount do you find on average? Is there a max money amount?
On average, it's hard to say because I would in the northeast corridor, the average is probably 200,000. In California, the average is probably 300,000. Everything else in between is anywhere from 50,000 to 500,000. I'm not sure which area it is, but maybe Jason, you can shed some light as to your area or your neck of the woods.
Yeah, I would say states like Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, um, states around that area, you're going to see properties a lot lower, probably under 150. That's just because Midwest is slightly lower. We in the Midwest, when everything was happening with the boom and everything was rapidly falling in home values, we didn't really see that in the Midwest as much as people did on the East and West Coast, just because we didn't really see the appreciation like a property that was worth 130 one year and then the next year it was worth double. That didn't happen here. We had a slow appreciation value between 1.5% and 2.5%. So we didn't really see that big of a drop. But needless to say, properties that we're typically buying, especially for Clint and I, that we're either wholesaling or that we're buying and holding or that we're rehabbing, they're going to be between, probably 30 to 80, 90,000. And we're even buying some that we're buying and holding and doing on land contract for $10,000 to $15,000 just to keep in our own personal portfolio. Those are the types of properties you could find. I know Illinois, some parts of Illinois, you could pick them up relatively pretty cheap. Wisconsin, state of Missouri, just a lot of states within the Midwest region. And I would say even like, I'd mainly say Midwest, you could pick them up for great deals, and you could still buy steals in the western states and in the eastern states as well. So hopefully that answers that question on the funding average. But that brings up a really good point, though, Anthony, is I guess you're trying to find out from a virtual standpoint if you're maybe wanting to do other markets. And like Dwayne says, if you have a deal that's over 200,000, it's on a case by case basis. If you have a strong buyer and everything's in place, and I don't want to speak on behalf of Dwayne, but if the deal makes financial sense, everything's ready to go. I probably wouldn't see a problem, but again, that's not up to me. It's up to Dwayne and his staff on if that gets approved or not. But if it looks strong, and Dwayne obviously he's a very smart, intelligent man, I'm sure he could spot a deal and know if it's good to go or not. So I hope that helps, Anthony. Guys, is there any other questions that we have coming in? I know Dwayne actually did a really good job prepping for this webinar. Him and I spoke on Monday. He asked me a ton of questions, great questions, by the way, and he pretty much included them in the presentation to where I think we already answered a lot of everybody's question that they may have had. So I think Dwayne did a great job prepping for this presentation because we're not having our normal amount of questions that are popping in. So Dwayne, I guess, hold on, Anthony had something pop up here. Anthony said, do we need to make offers to HUD in the name of the LLC that will be funded by Best Transaction Funding, or make the offer in my personal name, get it approved by HUD, then set up the LLC? What are the proper steps?
Okay, you would need to make the offer as your LLC, because what we need to make sure is that there is consistency in the titling. So if you're going to be the buyer from HUD, your LLC must be the seller to the end buyer as well. And since we require an LLC in order for us to fund you, we would need the LLC to be making the offer. Does that make sense?
No, that makes sense. That's how we've always done it, especially if we've used transaction funding. Yeah, just everything needs to have a proper chain involved and proper paperwork. So yeah, again, if anybody is starting, they haven't closed the deal yet. In order to work with Dwayne and his team, you must have some sort of a business entity set up. So you need an LLC or some sort of a corporation set up in order to get the transactions done. And again, you can just go on your state website, fill out all of the information, and they pretty much generate everything for you right then and there. Then you could start doing transactions. There's a couple of things that you would need to do after the fact, but pretty much you're good to go once they assign everything to you. You'd have to, go down, I believe, to the county building and get like the good standing document notarized and all that good stuff. But I think all Dwayne really needs is Dwayne, what do you actually need? You just need proof of the LLC or proof of the corporation, and you're good to go. Or what exactly on that do you need?
Yeah, we just need the proof of the LLC, and if we need to go further, then we ask that at that time. But typically, just the contract would state that if there's an LLC buying it, and then if we need to go further than that, then we would require their proof of the registration with the state, etc. But usually we don't go down that far. We just need to make sure that the contract, the name is consistent with the AB portion and the BC portion.
Okay, perfect. Well, Dwayne, it looks like we do not have any further questions coming in. It looks like your presentation nailed it spot on. Is there anything that you would like to part with before we go ahead and shut this off? I know you we're on a time constraint, so I don't want to keep you much longer, but is there anything you would like to, any parting words or words of wisdom you'd like to leave with before we go ahead and shut her down?
Yeah, I think we've covered everything. I just want to emphasize the reason why we call ourselves the best transactionfunding.com is because of our service. So just want to emphasize that we are the best in class as far as the service is concerned. So please keep us in mind in your future transactions, or if you know anybody. And I'm sure that you guys will keep Jason in mind for all of the learning or all of the knowledge from HUD transactions, because I know I'm not an expert in it, and I'm going to rely on Jason to tell me all about
it. Well, great. I appreciate that. Dwayne. And we definitely want to make sure people are well educated on this, so they're not sending deals to you that aren't going to make sense. Like the deal James sent over to you, we want to make sure that we're sending deals over to you that make sense. And everybody involved, like you said, is a winner, and everybody gets paid. And this could, be a duplicatable process for our students, and you could have lots of closings going on. So that's the main goal here, is for everybody to win and everybody to have a strong 2014 and beyond. So again, I just want to say thank you, Dwayne, for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you said you got some things to do today, so I appreciate it. This was great information, and I know a lot of people are saying fantastic, awesome, you guys did a great job. So yeah, you nailed it out of the park, buddy. So I really appreciate it. And guys, again, this is being recorded, and I will make sure that you guys do get a copy of this so you could go over it again if you had any questions that we may have just went over too quickly, which I don't think we did, but everything should be good to go. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up, say goodbye. Guys, thanks for your time for attending this afternoon. Have a great afternoon, and we'll be reaching out to you shortly. Thanks again, Dwayne. Take care.
Thank you, Jason, for having me. Thank you.
No problem. Bye.